Welcome to Rance's channel. Hello and welcome to Rance's channel. Sorry there have been no updates at all for a long time. Several reasons. Number one is that for some reason when I used to upload the phones via phone up to YouTube, for some reason they used to come out almost like oil paintings. I don't know if there's a phone issue or whether it's a issue with the service provider, i.e. the amount of whatever it is that zooms across to just do your uploads. So I've held off until I've now have a better phone or a better camera and also a better service provider. So we'll see. This is kind of a test to see if it works out any better, I suppose. So what's been happening in the meantime? Well, for the paranormal people into paranormal stuff, we'll be doing some more updates on those episodes. Starting with number one. Just got to do a little bit more research first, as it's quite important because it's the foundation of that. In regards to the cars, so Thames has been performing fantastically. Moved the daughter out to a new house in it. Whenever I go to it, she's good as gold, not a problem at all. Currently going through the process of changing over to waterless coolant on it, so I've put a Evans prep fluid in at the moment, so I'm running around on that, and then I'll change that out and put some of the Evans Classic Oil in. Some people say, oh, it's for people that use cars where the coolant system's knackered or whatever. No, I tend to use it because A, it's better, the components inside, especially things like the water pump, which on the Mark II is very vulnerable. Just helps because there's no water in the system to cause corrosion against the seals and the various bearings and stuff like that. That's why I use it. And same thing. So with the Consul Capri, Bella, the Consul Capri, the reason why there's not been any updates is because she's had a new heart transplant. So the old smoking 1500 that I put in just to get her on the road eventually gave up the ghost. Started smoking like the Queen Mary on speed on a blue riband. White smoke really, not blue smoke, which is odd. And the result was I tried changing the head. That made no difference. I was hoping it might have been just a gasket, or maybe at least I might be able to see the rings or see what damage there was. Now when I took the head off, what was weird was there was no apparent damage to the bores, and it still held oil to some description. I mean, it didn't leak by, so obviously if it was a broken ring, it was probably one of the ones at the bottom. But I'd only driven it about 6 miles since it started smoking, so didn't really do any damage to it, which was a saving grace. So that block has gone off to another club member who will probably rebuild it and do something with it. In the meantime, I had the original block, which I've repaired. Being a 122E, it's quite a rare engine. Quite sought after in America, apparently. Because they used to use them in the Formula Ford cars over there and stuff like that. But they did have slightly different journal surfaces, which not a lot of people realise. So if you imagine the journal surface should be flat and supported all the way across. On the 122 engine had a slight radius on the edge, so it wasn't fully supported all the way around. So what have I done with the engine? So I've tried to build it as close to a Allard spec as possible, because I had an Allard it once and I was really into it. Really good engine tuners. They used to build these Dragon engines, so I've built it as close to the 1500 Dragon engine spec as I could. The only difference is I didn't put duplex timing gear on it. So she's got steel mains caps. She's got, well, let's have a look at it, shall we? So here we are. This is the beast. So she's got steel mains caps. She's got a crossflow 6-bolt crank in it with a better seal on the back. She's got 125E con rods as per Allard spec. She's got a Vulcan head on it, and she's also got a crossflow steel rocker post set up on it. So that caused a little bit of a problem in itself, because although everyone says, oh yeah, they fit, no, we had to shim them up underneath on the posts to get them to sit at the right height, because otherwise literally the rockers were like that. One problem we have noticed going from those to the crossflow ones is that, so on a sort of the standard setup, it's a nut with a slot in it, and that's how you adjust the clearances on it. On the Crossflow, they look like a brake pipe union, kind of like a fuel pipe union that's hanging in there at the moment. And that's how they're adjusted, which they tend to come loose occasionally, which did happen. I'm still running her in at the moment. I think I've only done about 300 miles on her at the moment. And coming back from Portsmouth, all of a sudden there was a lack of power. I was lucky enough to get off the ferry, but she didn't want to go up the hill very well, and then she just decided that was it. And it just wound itself out, so number 4 was not even moving. Also the other thing is to take the size and dimensions of the steel rocker base. You have to have the Crossflow rocker cover. Now what someone's done is they've nicely closed off the, what would be the takeoff for the PCV, or whatever, the breather at the back. But the problem with that is it raises compression inside, and what we had an issue was it was literally throwing oil out of the breather pipe. So obviously there was too much pressure in the cap, so I drilled the cap just as a temporary measure, just to relieve the pressure. But I'm going to have to make a better solution to that. Probably get the good Mr. Pragnall to make up some kind of a machine cap to go on there. I have got, where are we? No, it's gone. I have got another breather which we can probably use the element out of. So yeah, I have been running it in. I've only done about 300 miles in it, so there's been no real progress with that. Other than that, see some rude health. Obviously, it's got the GT carburetor on there now with a proper linkage. You can just see in there, that is the proper original linkage that was on this car, which is very important for running these 2836 Webers. A lot of people, when they put these on cars, forget to put the proper linkage on. The problem with that is it doesn't open the secondary properly, so it's most important. So she's got a GT thing on. I'm not going to put the servo back on, just because I think it's an extra thing to go wrong. I use my cars a lot, so I'm not going to put the servo on. I'll put the bracket on. I might put it on for show, but it certainly won't be connected. What else have we been doing on it? Well, the gear change was a bit sloppy, so I decided to have a bit of a clean up. You can't see anything in there. So what I have done is taken the remote out, greased it. The nylon blocker for the reverse obviously worn out, so I've changed that for the aftermarket Lotus one. Generally greased and lubricated. The tunnel been covered in Hessian with glue, so it was a furry tunnel. No one likes a furry tunnel, so that had to be blasted and put back in. And also I'm sorting out some wiring for the gauges as well, because I've put an additional clock in. But yeah, she'll be back out. She's still running fine. I say she'll be due for her, when I get up to 500 miles, or oil change. And then we can see what happens from there. Then we can give it the beans, as they say, because I've been pooting around in it, trying to be caress her around. So yeah, and also I better change those plug leads, because they've been on there on the old engine for donkey's years. They were actually black, that black with oil. I didn't realise they were actually red until I cleaned them off. So yeah, that's an update, and we'll